G'day, my name's Rob Perry, and my memories from the tournament was when I was skippering on a King Kong, and I remember it was start fishing at 6:30, so we'll just getting all the lures out, putting the rods in the rod holders. And I think it was 6:35, we hear a call over the radio, animal hooked up. Now, I just looked at my crew and we just couldn't believe it. We hadn't even got our gear in the water, and Joe's already onto a first fish. But Dad, even more to our frustration, 7 minutes later, you hear over the radio, tagged one black marlin, Joe Pakula. I looked at my crew and I just was in amazement. We haven't even been fishing for 15 minutes. We haven't even got our spread set properly, and Joe's pinned a first fish, which was just blew us away. But anyway, we thought, oh, okay, lucky fish. They must have been close to it. So away we went. We just put our heads down, said, right, we'll start looking around. But Dad, to our frustration, 30 minutes later, bang, on the radio, Pakula hooked up. And again, in under 10 minutes, here on the radio, tagged one black marlin, Joe Pakula. As two fish within the first 45 minutes of us hitting the fishing time for the tournament. We're just going, oh, we've got some ground to cover here. But the other thing too is no other boat was hooking up, it just seemed to be animal. So we started trotting off. We really didn't know where Pete was. We sort of guessed he was north somewhere, so we just started working our way that way because we just couldn't find a thing. Again, about 40 minutes later, animal hooked up. By this stage, I was getting a sore head from just bashing on the superstructure. This was just total frustration. We still hadn't even come across a bait school, a bird, anything. And again, within around about 10 minutes, tagged one black marlin, Joe Pakula. Everyone, the radio's running right by this time because no other boat had hooked up and saying, where the hell is he? And it's just through cross-referencing with other boats, we sort of worked out where he was, and we all started heading that way. By the time we were working our way towards them, and again over the radio, animal hooked up. Now, this was just driving me insane. And again, within, between 10-12 minutes, Joe had tagged a fourth black marlin. They've got, not only they got 4 hits, they tagged 4 fish, which was just amazing. No other boat was getting anything. I think one may have picked one up. Anyway, by the time we found them, every boat had also found them in the tournament, and they're like bees to a beehive, just flying all around them. And amongst all that, even with all that disturbance, bang, animal hooked up. And this time I had my camera there, and I was able to take the photo of Pete fighting this fish. And what also blew me away was the aggression this guy backed his boat up. I couldn't believe it. If a boat could plane backwards, it was. And there's Joe, and this is Joe in the back corner, just seemed to be backing up at about 6-8 knots. Seas coming over the back, and Pete's just getting stuck into it. This is why they're pinning the fish so quick. But you got to remember how sick Joe was too. Like, she'd already caught 4. We got up there on a 5th, and it was just an amazing effort by her. Big effort by the crew. I know the whole crew put a big effort in. They were working very, very hard for her. She had to lie down in between fish, but to stand up amongst us, backing up, and all of the roughness of the conditions, and to get these fish in so quick was just a fantastic effort. And we just kept working the area. And, next thing I know, bang, you're over the radio, animal hooked up. And double hook up. And I was just going, oh. And everyone else on the radio, like everyone was still saying, oh, well done Pete, well done Joe. But I'm sure they were saying off the radio. It's just frustrating. But I tell you what, it was my most memorable day. I've never seen anything like it. I was glad I was there, and I was glad it was an inshore day where we all could get close. And you had professional fishermen out there too. There was charter boats out there, some of the leading fishermen around the area. And then amongst all this, even with all those boats around, all those other professional fishermen, amongst all this, nobody else was hooking up. This one boat, all the other boats coming too close. I actually got my camera out and got a few more shots. Pete's had his years off fishing. It was great to see him get back into it. And he doesn't need to shut up his critics, but Christ, if they're any out there knocking him, he certainly would have done it with this. But it was a magnificent effort, and by this stage we're just sort of throwing in the towel and going, God, can't sort of deal with this anymore. It's just good to sit back and watch it all. So we started working our way back. It was getting close to the end of the day, and Animal worked his way back too, and we've pulled into the marina, and there comes Animal just flying all its victory flags, all the tag flags up. He had so many up. It was just a magnificent sight. We're sitting up there, we just hoisted the club flag up just so we could have something up there. But it was a fantastic day, and out of it all, I learned a lot too from it. I talked to Pete about it, and I spoke to Joe, The next day everybody was out there basically sort of copying what they did, but nobody could produce the results what they did. But these, you know, both Joe and Pete have been very generous with their time and their crew, very helpful, and I've definitely learned a lot. As frustrating as it was a great day. I've loved being out there watching all those fish being caught. I don't particularly want it to happen to be on the receiving end of it again, but one day it'll be me and I'll be out there catching fish. But until then, Joe, Pete and the crew of Animals, my hat's off to you, mate. That was a fantastic, great day fishing.